Hello people of the internet. Look, I am surrounded by brush markers. Now these are all the alcohol brush markers that I own, and I am going to compare them. And the price ranges from these pens range from 40p per pen to £3.19 per pen, and I'm going to see what you get. What difference does £2.80 make? Is there that much difference between these well-known brands of brush markers? So let me get all this out of the way and get to it. Okay, so first things first, none of these pens have been bought specially for this review. Second of all, I know that Jazza, that well-known fabulous art YouTuber, has compared a real lot. Like, he did a massive comparison of every brush marker under the sun, every brush alcohol marker, and he did a head-to-head and a competition and a knockout and who won and all that kind of thing. And I'm not even getting anywhere near that. I'm basically just comparing those that I have, and my main reason for doing that is because I'm coming at this from a colouring point of view. Do you need to pay £3.20 for alcohol markers per pen for colouring? Do you need expensive alcohol markers for colouring? So basically I'm comparing a 40p alcohol marker and a £3.20 alcohol marker, and I'm going to see, you know, from my point of view, just from my point of view. So what I've done is I have done this sheet, and this sheet is basically, it's got all 6 brands on it, which are Oleep, Ohuhu, Artify, Arteza, Illustrator and Copic, Ciao. And we're going to do basically 3 different tests. And we're going to do it on 2 different types of paper as well, which I'll cover in a minute. And the order that these are in are the price order. Now I will put on the screen here a chart. And the chart has 2 different prices on it in some cases, which is the price that I paid and then the per pen price and the price that they are currently at the time of making this video. And I have gone to different places to get the best price. So for example, Cult Pens has the best price for Copic Ciaos, and so the price that I've got of the now price in this sheet is from Cult Pens. They're more expensive on Amazon, for example. So there's 2 different prices: the price I paid and the per pen price I paid, and the price if you were to purchase them today. And when I reference prices, I'm going to use the price today price. Okay, so let me get my squidge and my clips and all my lovely stuff that I normally do when I do some swatching, and I'm really looking forward to this because I have sort of unofficially collected these pens over the last 6 months, but I've never put them head to head. So let's get to it. So let's talk about paper first of all. Now you can see that I have 3 sheets of paper here. This is the paper that I normally swatch on. It is 120 GSM super smooth matte printer paper. This paper here is Arteza marker paper, and this really thin paper here is Winsor and Newton marker paper. Now they both look like this, and the reason why I'm using marker paper and 2 different types is because I want to give the pens the best possible chance that they could have. Now this is 120 GSM, so the same as this printer paper that I use for swatching normally, and this is 75 GSM, really thin. Now both of them say that they are ideal for blending and smooth, and this one says, so yeah, smooth surface, acid free, ideal for blending. So that's to give the blending as much chance as possible. And then normal paper, because got to use normal paper. Don't know where to start. Really excited. Let's get me squidge first of all. I feel like I should have really fancy squidge. rather than my normal horrible squidge backgrounds. But hey, why change the habit of a lifetime? So I'm just going to get the normal printer paper first of all. Actually, I'm going to write on these so that I don't forget. So this is 120 GSM printer paper. This is 120 GSM Arteza marker paper. Probably don't need to write on this one because we know that this is 75 GSM Winsor and Newton marker paper. Okay, so need another little clip at the bottom. Oh, okay, so they're all ready to go. Let's have a look at the pens. Let's have a look at the pens that are competing. So first off is the Oleep markers. Now these are a real cheap set of brush markers. I bought the 40 set and I paid £15 for them, which works out 38p a pen. I think you can also get the bigger set now, and it works out a little bit cheaper to get the bigger set. They come in at 40p per pen, so they're the cheapest pen. So we're going to pick the colours that we're going to use. So we're going to pick a yellow, a red and a blue, because obviously they're the three primary colours. And then I kind of want a little trio of colours as though we're going to blend them. Now there isn't much choice in this one. There's 4 greens, 5 greens, 6 greens, so maybe, although we could do a blue blend. Let's do a green blend, and then we've used okay. Got a lot of pens here. What I'm going to do is sort out which 3 go together the nicest and then come back with those. So I'll end up with 6 pens basically, the 3 primaries and then 3 blend-ins. Okay, so I've picked my 6 Oleep markers. There's the 3 primaries that I'd already picked out, and then these 3 greens. They are quite similar colour greens. There was 2 other greens, one that was really a yellowy green and didn't work at all, and one which was a really deep forest green and would have been, they're just too far at the other ends of the spectrum. So these will have to do with the limited colours that we have. So next on the list is Ohuhu. Now Ohuhu come in different size packs. This is a 48 set. I also have a 168 set next to me. They vary in prices. The price that I paid when I bought them was exceptionally cheap, but they come in now, if you buy them, around 60p a pen, and that's in today's money. Now the Ohuhu come in 2 different types of brush pen. They come with a bullet nib at one end and a brush at the other, or they come with a chisel at one end and a brush at the other. Now the interesting thing is, if you buy the brush chisel combo, the brush end is marked with a ring, and if you buy the bullet brush combo, it's the bullet that's marked with the ring. So it gets a little bit confusing. Now I actually prefer a bullet end, so I really like the fact that I can get ones with a brush and a bullet, but I know some people love the chisel. So let us pick the colours that we are going to use from the Ohuhu, and I will come back to you once I've done that. Okay, so I've picked my yellow, red and blue. I actually picked the ones with the same name, so they're both called geranium and they're both called cobalt blue. I thought that would just be an interesting little side test. And with the greens, I've picked GY1, 2 and 3, but sadly with Ohuhu you'd think they would be in order of lightest, mid, dark, but they're not. The darkest one out of those 3 is GY2, that GY3 is lighter, and GY1 is lighter again. So there's no continuity with regards to colouring, tones, shades, scale, whatever it is called in the Ohuhus. Okay, what is next on the list? Artify. Now the Artifys that I have came in the 108 box, and they come in this lovely case, and they work out 65p a marker, which is, I think, I was going to say in the middle but not quite. Plus you get this fantastic box, and they are all really nicely colour coordinated. So they do look really nice. You know, you feel like you've got sort of shades in these ones, or you know, a light, medium, dark. So let us pick the colours. You can do it with me with this one because they're just all there laid out. So we're going to go that for a yellow, that for a red, and that for the blue. So let's pop them in the... Ooh, they're much taller than the other pens. Interesting. And then we're going to go for 3 greens. Should I just grab these 3 and hope that they blend because they're all together in a light medium? I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab the 3 that look like they go and put the box away. So when I said they were taller, look how much taller they are than the other ones. Much taller. So Oleep, Ohuhu and Artify. I've never known that they were taller. Okay, next on the list is Arteza. These are the Arteza brush markers. I have done a review of these. I'm not sure if it's up or whether I'll probably pop it up later. Let's take the yellow, let's take that tomato red, and then let's take that ultramarine blue. So we've got one of each of the primary colours. Now, interestingly, the Arteza markers come in colour blending families. So we should be able to choose easily than we have been able to with the others, colour families that match. So I have another set here so I can mix and match between them. So the way it works is we have a YG would be yellow green, so 28 and 25, they're both got the 2s in them, so they're both the same blending family. BG1, BG2, G06, G30, 34 and 36 in theory they should blend, and a 38. Ooh. We've got 2 steps between them. G34, G36 and G38. So they're all in the G3 blending family. So we're just gonna not even swatch, we're gonna put them in the tray. Okay, so that's Arteza. Illustrator next. Now the illustrators come in blending families as well. So HB1 and HB2 would be blending. We've got to grab the red. Ooh, we're going to be short on the red because none of these have got much of a red. Okay, I'm going to have to pick my colours and then I'll come back. It's interesting that none of these sets actually have a red in them. I find that quite interesting. But what I have found is across 2 of the sets, when I can get them out, I've got an LG2, that's a light green 2, a light green 3, and a light green 1. So we have got a nice blending family. I've got a nice yellow, canary, and I've got a nice blue, but I'm going to have to go for the fruit pink for the red. Okay, what we left with? We've done Arteza. Copic. The Copic's the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Now I only have a very small set of Copic Ciaos. Let's grab the red, grab that yellow, and grab that blue. Let's get that eliminated before we start. And then we've got to find 3 blending greens. There are quite a few greens in here. YG03, G17, YG06, YG11 and G05. Seems to be big gaps between those numbers. BG06. Now this is not probably going to give it a G00. They're both in the GO family. BG23. What's this last one here? BG09. How many BGs did we just have? Staying alive, staying alive. big steps between 01, 09 and 023, isn't there? But is that going to be fairer than G05? Nah, we're going to have to go with what I've got. I have a small subset. It'll be the same as the Oleeps, effectively. So we've got a G00, which is the lightest, G005 mid, and G17. These are all YGs. I really hope that I don't want a whole full set of Copic markers at the end of this test. Okay, so this is it. This is our comparison. Are you excited? I am. Let's get swatching. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is have a look at the pen. Now, as I said, this is an Oleep marker, very cheap, very tight lid. Ooh. Very felty, fluffy looking nib. Sun's streaming through. Not sure how this is going to focus, but that looks really quite fluffy. And then on the other side, just a sort of standard chisel. So let us play with the brush. Oh, it's very firm. Doesn't feel like it's got much spring to it. And that is also a very deep yellow for lemon yellow. I expected it to be lighter. Okay, let's also bring it down a little bit more. Don't necessarily. And then this is the chisel. Yeah, pretty straightforward chisel, nothing exciting. The next test is actually the seeping test, so how much it seeps when you layer down quite a chunky chunk. Should have done that in different colours, shouldn't I? Let's just do the... Oh, look at the state of the red already. Now bear in mind I've not used these at all. When I said they had fluffy nibs, look at that fluffy nib. That is rough. That feels like the tip is just so squidgy. And so fluffed up. You've got no precision on it at all. And then the rest of it is really tight, hard. The rest of it is really hard. Let's have a look at the blue one. I don't know why I picked 3 colours really. I'm not going to use 3 colours. Now they are quite juicy. I'll give them that. Yeah, that one feels less. There's no give in these. Maybe that's what I should do for the seep test. I should have had a little circle that I put the pen down in and saw how much it seeped. Okay, blending, and I'm quite nervous about this because I don't think this is going to go well, not on this paper anyway. I need to keep them in. I need to keep them in my little trough purely because going by this is the light. No, that's the dark, or is that the light? We'll find out. It'll either go light, medium, dark, or medium, light, dark. But either way, the cap is not representative. So here we go. Oleep. Maybe I should just eliminate doing it on normal paper and go straight for the. As I said, there's not much between those 3 colours, is there? Can't really tell much between them. I'm thinking this was the light. Yeah, there's nothing between those colours. That's 3 separate colours. Right, let's have a look at the seeping. To be honest, this stayed in the thing quite well. Right, let's do the Ohuhu, and I'm going to make sure I do all 3 colours this time. So Ohuhu brush end. I'm trying to see if the brush looks as felty as the. I'm not sure if you can see how rough that Oleep tip is. It is rough, really flaky looking. Now this is smoother, but it still is, you can see the fibres in it still. It feels softer, but not yeah, that feels really jelly-y. I want to touch it. Very juicy. I'm going to do the Ohuhu again. Yeah, the Oleeps are really soft, really jelly-y. Can you even see me doing that? Look. And the Ohuhus, I'm going to have pen all over me, aren't I? Definitely tighter, firmer. Let's do the yellow for the seep test. Should have left a gap between the seeping really, shouldn't I? So we can see. Okay. More optimistic about the blending-ish. Even though, as I said earlier, these are not, that's the dark, the medium, the light. Dark, medium, light. Even though the numbers are 2, 3, 1. Dark, medium, light. So dark. Now bear in mind this isn't marker paper, this is just 120 GSM matte printer paper. So I'm not expecting fabulous blending results. Which is handy because I didn't get fabulous blending results. Let's just see how that seeped. Not really. Just trying the bullet tip on the Ohuhu, and I've got to say, I do love a bullet tip. That is a nice bullet tip. Okay, so we are moving on to Artify. So let's do the yellow. Let's have a look at the pen first of all. Does it have the number on it? Has that all got a different number? No, they've all got the same number on it. I thought they had their names and numbers on it. They've just got a number on the lid as well, which is, yeah, but they are big. Chisel and brush. Let's have a look at this brush. Looks very, very similar to the Ohuhu brush. Very similar. Seriously. A little bit covered in it. They look identical. You can even see the sort of ridge. Same sort of felty looking nibs. Pen everywhere. Yeah, and they feel exactly the same as the Ohuhus. That colour looks very similar as well, doesn't it? Okay, and on the other end they have a chisel. So have a quick look at that chisel. Standard, quite wide chisel. Yeah. Okay, let's do the seep test. Do it with yellow. Perhaps I should have picked a different one for seeping. I'm trying to do my best colouring, i.e. not deliberately go over the edge. And then we're going to do the blending. I'm going to do the blending with these three colours which were in there together like this. So G303, G3237 and G256. That should be dark, medium, light. Let's try that. Dark. Here's dark. Brush does feel smooth. It feels exactly the same as the Ohuhu one, to be honest. There's the medium. And there's the light. I wouldn't say those three went, well, I don't know, once you go over it a bit, they kind of go. Okay, let's put those back and move on to the Arteza. Okay, so the Artezas are the new Arteza brush markers, the Everblend Ultras. They look, they've got this funny triangle body. And let's have a look at their nib. Okay, their nib looks totally different. And I think afterwards I'm going to do a mugshot lineup of all these nibs. I get this next to a, it's a shame because it's a, can't see. You can see it's, let's get a different colour. Let us get a different colour. Let's get the two reds and not the chisel. Ooh, not the chisel. See, I wonder if that's relevant, that they're both bright red and the felty looking one seems to absorb all the colour and the other one looks more like the colour's not, I don't know. I was going to say like it's not absorbing in it. Arteza, here we go. Canary yellow. Totally different feeling. You feel like you've got a little bit more control. It's soft, but more controllable. See, now I have to go back and feel one of these again. This feels firmer. Let's do the red. Oh, it's nice. It feels floaty. Like no, lids are really loose on these, look. Yeah, it feels more floaty. Let's go back to that Oleep again, just to feel what that feels like again. Yeah, and this, what this cheap marker feels like, is a kid's fat felt pen. Okay, what's next? The blend, the CP test. CP test is a bit irrelevant, really. I'm not sure whether it's going to seep on this. I certainly won't be bothering to do the... Especially when I'm going over the edge like that. It's not going to help, is it? Okay. And let's do the blend. Now this one I'm quite looking forward to because we have three... That's an Artify. We have three of the same, so we've got a G38, a G36 and a G34. So they're both all from the green family and all from the 30 blending family. So dark. Perhaps I should have all the caps off. Medium. And light. Now let's go over fully. I was not expecting great things with the blending on these because they are, this is just printer paper. Okay, so that was the Arteza, and the Arteza are double the price of the Artify. They come in at $1.36 per pen at their full price, which is $48.99. You usually can get them a deal. At Christmas, I saw them half that, which would bring them down to the same price, you know, 60p, as the Artify. And I do think they're better than the Artify, but subjective. Okay, next we have Illustrator. Now we've not got a red with the ones that I have, so these come with a brush and a bullet. It's a very tight looking bullet, and I've been told it's the Japanese nib. Let's compare it to the Arteza. It's doing that same thing. Yeah, they look very, very, very similar. They could both be Japanese rubber nibs. They've both got that sort of less fibrous looking look to them. And they feel the same. They feel that same floatiness about them. They feel really arty. Now these are the second most expensive pens. Full price, these coming at $1.83 per pen. So if you compare them to the Artezas, which they feel very similar and look very similar. I'm not sponsored by any of these, by the way. Oh, I've lost my lid. Now that's the interesting thing. Look at that. Because the Spectrum Noirs are so big, they've actually, its lid's actually got stuck in my pen pot. They are very big pens. You want to see how many pens I've got around me now. So, Illustrator. Seep test. Oh, so soft, this nib. I think it feels softer than the Arteza ones. Feels less controllable, so that would mean that it is soft. I'm just going to do that one again. Yeah, that was more soft. Okay, blending. Now we should have good results with blending, because we've got three, only one step between them, LG1, LG2 and LG3. By the way, I'm no master at blending. Should you start with a dark? Should you start with a light? I've got no idea. These are all quite light shades, and they will work better on the marker paper. Not much between those three, is there? Interesting. Okay, and finally the king, Copic Ciaos. So this is my first go on the Copics. Let's have a look at that nib. That nib is tight. Okay, so let's compare Copic and... Oh look, where it touched my finger. It's got orange off my finger. Them Copic nibs are tight looking, firm. And let's compare it to an Arteza. Let's try and get the yellow one. I mean, they look similar, but I'm thinking it looks more like the Arteza one than the other one, which was the softer one, wasn't it, out of the... No, this one I felt like I had more control of. The Arteza I felt like I had more control of. Okay, so Copic. Really stiff feeling. Get that yellow off of it, orange off my pen. Yep, all cleaned up. And the red. These feel very similar to the Arteza. I'm just going to do that Arteza again. No, the Arteza feels softer, jellier. My descriptions. No, that feels just as jelly. I think it does depend. Look how much that bends. Look. Blah. Depends how much the pen's been used. Okay, let's do the seep test. Okay, and the blend test. Now, I'm not sure this is going to be a fair thing for the Copics because I don't have many of them. You're supposed to go from light to dark or dark to light. Maybe when I get to... That's nothing like it. Maybe when I get to the... marker paper, I'll go the other way around. Okay, so that is test 1. The normal paper. Generally, I'm going to have to go and wash my hands. Generally feeling what the brushes feel like. Right now, just going to... That feels nice. I'm not liking that one so much. Feels like I could bend it. This one feels more resilient, the Copic, and then this. Trying to feel if this one has got similar to the Arteza. No, that is definitely, that bends. That, I wish you could see. That bends in the middle. Look, halfway up, bending, bending. See that? The Arteza, only the tip's bending, not the middle. And then the Copic, again, only the tip's bending, not the middle. That one's sort of bent in half, which was the Spectrum Noir. And let's just go back and quickly look at the Ohuhu bendiness. Really stiff, just the tip, and as you press it, you can almost see the tip spraying out on the Ohuhu. And then the Artify, exactly the same as the Ohuhu. Tip just going down and almost see it flaring out. And then what was the first one? Oh, the Oleeps. Well, we know that. Okay, the Oleep literally feathers on the paper. It's, yeah, that's why it's the cheapest one. Although, when you actually break down the cost, it was the cheapest one, but it wasn't that much cheaper 40p, 60p a pen, not much in it. Okay, I'm now going to move on to the marker paper. I might speed through the marker paper, because you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same thing twice more on 2 marker papers. So you don't need to have me talking. I also need to wash my hands and sort out the pens, which are now all around me. So I shall be back. Okay, so I've just come back from having some lunch. I'm just revisiting this sheet. Interestingly, I think the seepage was kind of irrelevant. Nothing really seeped over. This is good paper though. This is good thick paper. I have used thick paper colouring books where the seepage has been terrible. Blending wise, nothing really blended very well in this. The only reason why they look like they blended well is because they're pretty much the same 3 colours. The Ohuhus don't look too bad. These all blended terribly. So I am now going to go on to the Arteza marker paper. First time I've used this paper. I do like doing these types of videos for the first time with you. I want to not do this test and know what the result's going to be, because then I think that you can kind of work around the results to give a biased result, and I don't want a biased result. Now, oh look, it's all ink. Oh, that's probably from them drops. Oh no, it looks like it's dripped off of something. There must be a leaky one somewhere. So I'm just going to do the blending, because I don't think we need to. Well, maybe we just have a feel of all the pens on here. We'll just do a quick go of that. I think it's when I'm taking the lid off. One of them is splashing. Yeah, there's ink everywhere. So let's just revisit these nibs. Awful, them nibs. Ohuhu. Not bad. They feel identical. That's so soft when you do that. I've got the Illustrator ones over here because I keep getting stuck in the definitely softer that. I want to show you the bending of this Illustrator. It bends all the way in the middle. And then the Arteza, I'm doing the same pressure and it's only bending at the tip. It's like the core of it is stronger. And then we'll do the same with the Ciao. Full pressure. And it's bending, again, more the tip rather than the whole thing in the middle. I wish you could sort of do everything at once. They feel very floppy. Really floppy tips. I'm not sure I'm enjoying those. They are tight. Nice and tight. Where's the other brush marker? And they're like halfway between the two, not quite as floppy. It's a smaller tip. Definitely tighter though. Definitely a tighter tip. Very interesting. But then you have to work out they're £3 and these are between 65 and £1.50. Okay, we won't bother doing the seeping test, but we are going to do the blending test. Bring you down and possibly speed you up. And just before I do this, I have just read and watched a video on alcohol marker blending, which, if I remember, I will link down below. And they mention covering the whole area with the light, then doing the mid and then doing the dark, which I may revisit these because they was all so similar. They're not going to give us much of a result. These are the Oleeps, by the way. So I'm just going to, I've taken out the really light and the really dark. I'm just going to find the best mid one. So similar, these three, to work with these. Okay, this one. So, and I'm going to get all the caps off in readiness, so there's no delay, and we can, you know, blend with speed. So the whole area with the light, then the mid, and then, oh, I'm not liking it, the dark, and then back over everything with the light. Okay, now we're going to do it the way that I would have done it, which would have been dark, mid. I've just done light there. So let's do, oh, well, I've done it all the wrong way around, look. That did solidify the three there. Let's do it one more time and do it in the right order. Dark, mid, light. Interestingly, that one there I went over with the mid. Didn't do a bad blend. You can still see the lines between them all though. So that's the Oleep, and that's on Arteza. What's it called? Marker paper. Wow. Seeps through just... Wow. It seeps through really bad. How interesting. Right. This is a good test of the paper as well, isn't it, really? Okay, so these ones are easier. No, they're not, are they? That's the light. That's the medium. And that's the dark. Okay, so all over with the light. Instantly feel better than the Oleeps. In with the mid. And finish with the dark, and then all over with the light. Okay, and the way that I would have done it is dark, mid, light, that has actually come out quite nicely. My way, not so good, so maybe we'll stick with that way. So put all the lids back on. That was the Ohuhu. Next is the Artify, which I can't remember. They wasn't particularly a good blend, but they were all together. And were they in a blending family though? G256, G237, G303. I've got no idea what the blending families are with the Artify. I'm just going to look in the box to see whether there's a better blend. Can't really tell. Maybe they're not in blending families. G025, what do we have? G256, G237 and G30. Maybe we'll try these three. 503, 506, 535. Let's try these three. What's the worst that can happen? So light all over. Oh, I didn't get them all open, did I? I'm faffing. Mid. And dark. Oh, I can't get the lids off. And it's interesting because I really struggled to match up the Ohuhus together. Actually, that Ohuhu, look at that, that has died down. That looked terrible, my blending looked terrible at first, but it's alright now. But I had to pick the colours, GY2, GY5, whatever. These are, in theory, seem to be in blending families. But I can't, just get all the lids off. They don't seem to blend as good, but just let them dry anyway, and let's do it my way. Dark, medium, light, okay, it's blending down a little bit better. I mean, they are quite different shades, aren't they? Just make sure I get these right. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Okay. Arteza. Arteza is next. Quite excited about these. This should be a Utopia because it's 36, 38, 36 and 34, so 2 steps away from each other, and Arteza paper. So let's do it. Let's get the lids all off. That's the mid, that's the dark, that's the light. Right, light all over. Then the mid, then the dark, and then over with the light. Okay, and then let's do it the way that I would have done it, which is dark, mid, light, finish everything with a coat of light. Okay, lids on. And go to the illustrators. So LG 1, 2 and 3. Lids off. Light, medium, dark. Cover the whole thing. Mid. These are so close in tone. And dark. And then cover the whole thing with light. It's almost an unfair test because they're so similar in tone. They're going to do a really nice gradient. Should have sort of picked 3 less matching ones. I've done them the wrong way. Yeah, it felt like the wrong way. Okay, let's do that again. So the dark. The medium. And the light. These are really struggling on this paper. They feel like they're struggling. Really squeaking. Not enjoying that experience. And finally, the king, which have got 3 really. I mean, they're all in the G family, but they are quite dark, medium and light. All over with the light. Then the medium, which does not match at all. And then the dark. And then all over with the light, which looks more blue. Okay, I feel sorry for Copics, not getting a fair representation, and those are the most expensive. But it's all I have, these colours. They really don't want to blend though, do they? Not really. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that Copics blend well. I've seen people using them. I just don't have a good subset. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at this on marker paper. Arteza marker paper. These Ohuhus look like they blended really nice. And I picked 3 Ohuhus just, I'm going to say at random. They're all for the GY family, and they're GY 1, 2 and 3, but they're in that order. Light, medium, dark. That's how they blended. Made quite a nice gradient. These blended alright when I put the wet down first of all. Again, they were 1 step away, light, medium, dark, but they did match. They didn't come out too bad considering. They're not so great, but there when I went over them with the mid-tone, it wasn't too bad. The Artezas doesn't look like they fared too well. And nor did the Copic Ciaos. I mean, this is subjective, is it? Not sure. Let us try with the other marker paper. Now this is the Winsor & Newton marker paper, and it's really thin. It says it's good for blending. My first go of it. This is my first go of it. I wasn't sure it's even going to work through the printer, but it did. So let's move you down for the blending section. And back to Oleep. Try to remember how we did it just a minute ago. The light, medium, the dark. That was it. Okay. Oh, there's resistance on this paper. It feels different. There was no resistance on that Arteza paper. Should have had all the lids open, shouldn't I? I can feel the ink sitting more on this paper. Okay, and then just leave the lids off. Light, medium, dark, the way I would have done it. That's medium. That's light. And that was the dark. Okay. I'm using marker paper specifically because I wanted to give every pen the best shot, its best environment that it could work in. I'm not sure if there's any benefit. Okay, the light, the medium, the dark. So mid, dark, light. Okay, so when we do it this way, all over with the light. In with the mid. And then coat with the light. The reason why I went ooh is that I went like that. And then the way that I would do it, and that's the mid. Dark. I mean, these might just be blending better because I've got 3 that match better. Look at that blend. Perfect. So GY1, GY3, and GY2. Okay, Artify. It's easier to spot the light, the medium, the dark. Light, medium. Oh, that's a chisel. And medium, light, medium, dark. So all over with the light. Medium. And dark. And then quick squiz with the light, and the way that I would have done it. Dark, medium, light. Okay, lid's back on. Lid, lid, and lid. Arteza. Very light, medium, dark. All over with the light. And the way that I would have done it would have been dark, medium, light, caps on, chaps. Illustrator. Light, medium, dark, all over with the light, and the way I would have done it, dark. These pens, they're really juicy, but the softiness of their nibs, their bendiness, is a little off-putting. Okay, so that was the light, that was the medium, that was the dark. Oops. And onto the Ciao. Ciao, bella. Light. No, medium. Dark. I don't know what I'm saying. That was light. That was medium. That was dark. Here we go. Light all over. Oh, juggling. Medium. Dark. Look how it pulls the colour from that other colour. dark, medium, light, really does pick up the colour from the others. Light, medium, oops, and dark. Okay, so I think we're done. Well, the two same ones that blended well have blended well again, and I don't know if it's because they've got a closer step kind of thing, but then again I would have thought that the Artify would have blended quite well, because they are, maybe there's too many steps between them. Okay, well, let's go to review time. Well, here they all are back in their display stand, and one of the things I was just going to try, which I didn't try, and I'm going to do it only on the marker paper, is I'm going to try and blend two colours, a yellow and a blue, just to see what happens. I'm going to do it here in the seeping section. This is the Winsor and Newton paper. I think I'm going to put blue down first and then go over it with yellow. I don't know. Let's put yellow down first. Let's get the lids off, because I know people go, ah, it's dry, you should let it dry. Okay, there's the yellow. Let's go over the top with the blue, and then let's go over the blue with the yellow. Now that does stain that tip a bit. It does come off fairly quickly. Just seeing whether we get any type of colour blending. There's a bit. It's like more like a Prussian blue now in the middle. I mean, we've just layered two colours over the other, so same with Ohuhu. So yellow. Oops. Yellow. Oops, didn't take the lids off. See, people are going to be telling me that I did it all wrong. A little bit of blending there. A bit of green showing through. You can see some green. We'll do a close-up in a minute. Artify. All these blots and splats. Yellow, oh sorry, blue, yellow. Okay, I'm sticking the blue lid back on the other one. Deuce, blue and yellow, Arteza, lids, oh chisel, lids off, chisel again. Yellow, blue, yellow, again, really staining the nib. This one, Illustrator. Oh, sorry. They actually layered the best. Look at those. They're green. That green come through. Well, so far we've still got the king, the Copics. Get the lids off, otherwise I'm going to tell you off. I'm going to did my nib up? Let's have a look at that. So the Oleeps didn't really blend at all. The Ohuhus, you can see a third shade between those, like a olive green. That's a darker yellow, so it isn't going to blend so well, but there is a third colour in there. The Arteza, that's a very dark blue, but is there? Yeah, there's blending taking place, colour matte blending taking place. Illustrator, I think they did the best. They seem like these are 3 distinct colours, but they do lay down much lighter, like almost like for layering. And the Ciao's, yeah, pretty good. Probably about the same as the Ohuhus, blending wise. I mean, tip wise, they're a million times better. Alright, let's go to my conclusion. So if we look at all the blendings across the Winsor & Newton paper, the Arteza paper and the normal paper, it's kind of like the Ohuhu seemed to come out pretty good across the board, and so did the Illustrator. Now that could just be that the colours are, you know, they're the right steps for blending. Although that said, the Artify ones are, in theory, the right steps for blending. And so are the Arteza ones. The Arteza ones are, all 3 of these pens are in the same blending family. You know, in the G3 blending, colour and blending family. And there were only 1, so 2, 4, 6 kind of thing. So that was quite a disappointment that the Arteza didn't blend so well. Really impressed with the Ohuhu. I mean, if you can match up the Ohuhus with the sets that you've got to get a light, medium and dark, you could have a really nice set from the Ohuhus. So that's the blending side of things. Tip-wise side of things, the Oleep were out and out the worst tips, and then they are the cheapest. So what do you kind of expect? I mean, this tip says it all. There's no precision there. This is how it came out the box. Fluffy, badly cut, fibre tipped pen, and using it feels like you're using a kid's cheap, worn out marker. So the cheapest price, the worst quality. Colour wise, and you know, if you're going to use the chisel end, it's not a bad pen. It's 40 pence. It's 40 pence a pen. For 20p more a pen, you can get your Ohuhus. Now the Ohuhu and the Artify, their nibs were identical. I could see physically that they looked identical. They look identical. They've got that same step. I almost want to pull them out. Here comes the old iBed tweezers again. And see whether they are identical. Ohuhu on the bottom. Oh, look at the ink splattering. They are juicy pens. This is going to look like blood. I cannot get this one out. Maybe these are not removable. Oh, I am covering myself in blood to do this. I mean ink. One last go. If it don't come out this time. Look at it squishing. No, I can't get that out. Look at it. Wow, that is a juicy pen. I look like I've committed a murder. Right. I'll just put that one back in the meantime. This is why you watch my videos. Look at it. That's been a murder. Look at it. Right, so they looked identical. Them tips looked identical. So, 60p, 65p. Ohuhu are always having special deals. Prices, these are £99 for, and they've been that price for a while, for the 168 set. But you sometimes have a £10 off. They're $89.99, they're $79.99. The most they've ever, when they first came out, there was $139.99, but they've been at the £99 price for a while now. These seem to stick at $69.99. I've never really seen them cheaper. and you get more colours with these, and you get the pastels for that. So if you're kind of in the market for the mid-range ones, which I would call these both mid-range ones, I'd go for the Ohuhu. That's my opinion. And then we come down to the other three. Do ignore the blood. So the bottom three, or the other three, are basically the Arteza, the Illustrator, and the Copic Ciao, which to me all have a very similar nib. Now the Illustrator's nib was really, really bendy. It was real, literally floppity-doppity bends in the middle. Felt like there was no control. Very paintbrushy, if you like that feeling. Also, one thing that I didn't point out, it has an ultra fine bullet nib on it. So it's compared to, let's find one with a bullet nib on it. This Ohuhu has got a bullet nib on it. You can see it's a real ultra fine nib. So the Illustrators have that. If you're interested in ultra fine, look at the mess. What a fun playtime we've had. So these three feel like they've got very similar nibs, and the price wise, we're talking £1.36 at full price, £1.83 at full price, and £3.19 at full price. And full price is £48.99 for the set. 21, did I work it out? Yeah, £21.99 for the pack of 12, and £115 for the pack of 36. That's not full price. That's the sort of average current price that they are at the moment. These go down in price all the time. At Christmas you could pick up this 36 box of these for about £20. I bought these exceptionally cheap, and they go for about £15 on Amazon. And these, they're pretty much the same price. £115 is about as good as you get for a set of 36. So I would say the Arteza, you can get roughly half that price. Now, once you start saying that you can get these for half that price, that puts them in the 65p price bracket, which is this price bracket. Now, are they better? Are the Arteza better than the Ohuhu and the Artify? Now, I've already said, out of the Artify and the Ohuhu, I prefer the Ohuhu. So now really we're saying, are they better than the Ohuhu when you're getting them at a good price? Well, blending wise, I think Ohuhu came out better across the board on the papers. And I think one thing that goes in Ohuhu's favour is that you can choose to have either a bullet or a fine at the other end of your brush. Whereas currently the brush comes with a chisel with Arteza. Now you can buy refills for Arteza. I've not seen refills for Ohuhu. So it's pays your money, it takes your choice now. It's really difficult for me to, you know, say which one's better. Tip wise, the Arteza's better. So if you start saying to yourself, okay, well these are much for muchness price wise, when the Arteza are, you know, reduced, the Arteza has a better tip. The Arteza has a better tip. So if you're everyday colouring in your colouring book and you don't care about having a fancy tip, and you know, if it frays, you're Ohuhus. But when these start coming down in price to be the same sort of price, and they've got that better tip. Now the Illustrator, fantastic tip, really like them, but they're not for me. I don't really like them. I don't think they're worth the full price, the $1.83 per pen kind of price, because I prefer these. I even prefer these, the Ohuhus. And then the king itself, the Copic. I don't know what to say really about the Copics. I wanted to try them. They scratched an itch for me wanting to try them. Do I need them for colouring? Do I need to pay £3.20 a pen for adult colouring? Absolutely no way do I. If I was fantastic at art, would I still need to buy them? Would I choose to buy these? I'm not sure I would. I think I'd still be quite happy with Ohuhus with the non-rubber nibs or the Artezas. See, it's all subjective of what people like as well. But this is my opinion. I wouldn't spend the money on those. I wouldn't spend the money on those. These would be my good pens and these would be my cheap pens, brush marker wise. So that's my choice. I would have Ohuhu as my cheap pens and Arteza as my more expensive pens, but to be quite honest, when they're on the special offers, and wait for the special offers, these two are the same price. And for the same price, these have got the better nib. One of the things that I forgot to mention was, as I've just been putting everything away, I realised you've got to sort of take into consideration what these pens were made for. Now, Copic Ciaos weren't made for colourists, for people colouring in colouring books. They were made for artists, people doing manga drawings and that kind of thing. And illustrators were made for really like card makers. They sort of brought them out to compete with Copics for card makers and people doing papercraft. But then when you look at these other ones, Arteza really has come about for the colouring community, haven't they? Really, I mean, they're an art brand, obviously, but a lot of their products are tailored for the the colouring market. And same with Ohuhu. Ohuhu only really burst on the scene when colouring sort of picked up. So it's like, should we be using Copic Ciaos and Illustrator for colouring when they're sort of brought out for not for colourists? I mean, you can, but sometimes it's not the best tool for the job. Is a £3 marker pen the best tool for colouring in a £5 colouring book? Yeah, that's just that, taking into consideration. I mean, at the end of the day, I still like my Ohuhus and I still like my Artezas, which I feel both of them are really sort of colourists brands kind of thing. We're not stepping on any arty card makery type toes. So that's it. I hope this was useful in some ways. I have made a terrible mess. If I zoom all the way out, you can see that I am covered in pens and covered in ink, and there is stuff everywhere. These are my tweezers, so I've really got to go and get some alcohol wipes and tidy up a little bit. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed the mess, the fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoy doing this kind of thing because I like finding the thing that works best for me, and these are the things that work best for me. Thanks for watching everyone. Take care.